side of there.
That was my man. Like, why y'all gonna take him with me? Any bad day or anything, because he was just an awesome, amazing man. And so I just pray to God that he heals my heart, he heals my children's heart, and that we can just be able to live strong.
Before he ever ended up dead in a ditch in Houston, Snooty Wild sat in a booth and warned everybody who was listening that the streets were already closing in on him. And years later, those exact words came back to haunt him. And this right here is how it all ended for him, with his SUV nose down in a ditch and a police lieutenant standing over the scene telling the world a rapper had just been shot in the neck. So how does a Memphis rapper who flipped a prison bid into a gold record end up bleeding out on a random street over a car accident that had nothing to do with him? And how does the man they arrested for it walk away free almost 2 years later without a single day in trial? Stay with me, because by the time we finish, you are going to see how a case this clean, with a surveillance tape, a witness, and even a confession posted on social media, still fell apart before it ever touched a courtroom. To understand what was taken that night, you first have to understand who LePreston Porter III really was and where he stood in the game right before the bullet found him. Born in North Memphis on April 23, 1985, he came up in a family that was already deep in music, and his stage name came straight from his own father, a man everybody called Big Snooty. By 2013, he had signed to Yo Gotti's collective music group, the Memphis powerhouse label under Epic Records, and his single Yayo with Gotti went all the way gold, which put him on tour buses, Billboard, and on stages next to one of the biggest names his city ever produced. That is the level he was operating at, a real name in Southern rap with a real career behind him. By the time 2022 came around, he had moved out to Houston and built a whole life there with his longtime partner and manager, Crystal Meredith. The two of them together about 3 years after first meeting in New Orleans, and he was raising a house full of kids. The people around him described him the same way over and over, as a man of the people who loved his city, loved his family, and moved through the world wide open. He never traveled with security, treating strangers like they might turn into friends. That openness is a big part of what made everybody love him, and it is also, sadly, part of what left him exposed on the night everything went wrong, out on a regular street with regular people, with no bodyguard and no reason to think he needed one. None of the beef you might expect in this story had anything to do with what happened to him, and that is what makes it hit so different. This was not a planned hit. It was not a rap rivalry that boiled over, and it was not some business deal gone bad. What killed Snooty Wild started with something as small and stupid as a car getting stuck in the mud on a dark street. It went down just after 2 in the morning on Friday, February 25, 2022, on Alice Street on Houston's South Side, when Porter's SUV accidentally backed into a drainage ditch, nothing reckless behind it, just bad luck on a bad night. Right around that same time, a woman's car also got stuck in a ditch close by, and a few people had stopped to help her push it out, which is when Porter got caught up in the middle of it all. According to what that woman later told police, Porter walked up on her and pointed a gun in her face, and she took off running before things got worse. While all of that was still playing out, a dark-colored sedan pulled up to the scene, and 3 people climbed out. 2 men and 1 woman, and all 3 of them walked straight up to Porter while he stood there next to his SUV in the ditch. Nobody has ever publicly said what got said in that conversation, but whatever it was, it ended with a single gunshot cutting through the night. And after that shot went off, those 3 people ran back to their sedan and sped away, only to circle back to the scene for a second before disappearing for good. The other folks who had stopped to help push the stuck cars scattered too, so by the time it was over, almost everybody who had witnessed the shooting up close was gone, which is a big part of why this thing got so hard to untangle later. The woman who had already run off heard that gunshot behind her but didn't even realize at first that Porter was the one hit, and she called 911 to report that the people involved had left in a dark-colored sedan. By the time officers rolled up, tipped off partly by the city's ShotSpotter gunshot detection system and by neighbors calling it in, they found Porter down in that same ditch beside his SUV. He was shot in the neck and fading fast, and paramedics rushed him to the hospital in critical condition.
Okay. All right, we're at 7000 England at Alice. We have an SUV in the ditch behind me, and we have one adult male that's been shot in the neck, and he's at the hospital right now. He's in critical condition, so prayers for him. We believe the shooting probably happened just right at 2 a.m. My name is Lieutenant R. Wilkins, Willkens. So what we do have right now, we got some excellent video from an individual that lives over here. He saw his video was, I guess, for somehow alerted him. He looked over a fence over here where he lives at and observed our suspect vehicle and 3 other individuals, 2 black males and 1 black female. And like I said, this is all great video. They were around this vehicle that was in the ditch. We heard 1 shot go off, and then the car left. The car did come back a little bit later and then left again. We actually have a vehicle that matches that description around the corner here. Our officers are sitting on. We're waiting for our investigators to get here and try to talk to some folks and figure out exactly what occurred. Like I said, we don't know exactly what the shooting was, what occurred, or why it occurred. Really, that's all we have right now. Our investigators are en route, and hopefully we'll catch whoever did this. Any questions?
Was the victim found in the driver's seat or something?
No, the victim was actually found in the ditch, and so the way we originally got the call was the ShotSpotter, which is, it locates gunshots, and so we first got that call, and officers were en route to this location, and then citizens called in about the individual being shot. So, and when officers got here, they found him. They provided first aid, and HFD got here and transported him ASAP. They're saying he's critical, so it's 50-50 right now. That's exactly what the doctor said. It's 50-50 right now.
So we don't know how the SUV wound up in the ditch.
It appears, from what we can tell from the video, it appears that the individual that was shot backed in, or we believe it's the individual that was shot. Again, the video's kind of fuzzy, but it looks like he just backed in there accidentally. And then the other vehicle pulled up, and the folks got out of the car, and they were talking for a little bit, and then all of a sudden, gunfire went off. Only 1 shot, actually.
One officer at the scene said it was 50-50 if he would even make it. Here's the detail that would come to define this whole case, because even though 2 different people on 2 different sides of the story both swore Porter had a gun that night, not one firearm was ever recovered from him, from the ditch, or anywhere near that scene. Which means the one thing that could have backed up any self-defense claim simply wasn't there. He fought through the night but couldn't make it, and the next day, February 26, 2022, he was pronounced dead at the age of 36.
A Memphis rapper shot and killed this weekend in Houston, Texas. Family members tell us LaPreston Porter, known as rapper Snooty Wild, died yesterday.
While the world knows him as Snooty Wild, to Memphians, he's just LaPreston Porter, a beloved rapper who made it out of the Bluff City. Tonight, his family is in mourning.
It's broken the whole family down. It's devastating.
Family says Wild was shot in Houston Friday. They tell WREG he stopped to help someone whose car got stuck in a ditch and was later ambushed by gunfire. Eventually dying due to his injuries, Leon Porter is his cousin and former manager.
Man, he was working on music and everything. The family was behind him. Everybody was behind him and pushing him. And this happens, you know. It was so tragic.
According to a report in the Houston Chronicle, the 36-year-old rapper was shot after talking to 3 people who left the scene after firing a single shot. Porter says his cousin didn't deserve this.
Man, it's very important to get justice for him. You know, just everybody wants justice for him because he didn't do anything to deserve this. I don't think nobody deserves to die.
I'm here to tell y'all the real reason why Snooty Wild was killed. As y'all know, he was ex-CMG, Yo Gotti artist. He was ex-CMG. He was never ex-CMG. He still was CMG. He still was Yo Gotti artist. He just didn't have no motion. He ain't had no more static because Yo Gotti soaked him like a sponge. For Yayo, he really didn't make no money from that song. Most of the money from that song did go to Yo Gotti. He only got like 3% of earnings from that song, bro. And it generated over 50 million streams, man, and all type of shit, bro. So Yo Gotti was due for a sacrifice. Come on now. He just signed with DC United. He co-owned the DC United. Just signed another artist. Just dropped the album. Come on now. Yo Gotti was due for a sacrifice, bro. Just like Moneybagg Yo and Big 30, Big Newski was sacrificed, bro. Come on now. It's sacrifice season, bro. Don't let that shit trick you. Don't let that shit fool you. They put this shit in your face, man. And I want y'all to, I don't know what it's gonna take. I don't know what it's gonna take for somebody to actually like shake you up and smack you in the face for you to realize that these motherfuckers is getting sacrificed, and that's the generation we in. That's how that music industry shit go, man. And unfortunately, it cost Snooty Wild his life, man.
Wild was best known for his 2014 hit, Yayo. Now joins a growing list of artists killed due to gun violence. It's a trend his family believes needs to be addressed.
It's so crazy that the music and the rap industry has came to this. The young people are dying so fast. The older guys that are in the music industry needs to reach out and embrace the younger ones.
Leaving behind a fiancé and a house full of children who now had to bury him. In those first hours, the police themselves admitted they didn't fully understand what they were looking at, with Lieutenant Wilkins telling reporters at the scene that they didn't know why the shooting happened or exactly how it started. They only had good video and a suspect vehicle matching the description parked right around the corner that officers were already sitting on. A confrontation that started over a car getting stuck in the mud ended with a Memphis rapper gone, and the man who allegedly pulled that trigger was still out there somewhere, with the police holding almost nothing but a description of a dark sedan and a story with more answers than holes. What happened over the next 10 months would drag Porter's family right up to the edge of justice, and then snatch it from them just as fast. Snooty Wild's family wasn't about to sit back and let Houston police work this thing on their slow timeline, so they pushed, they traveled back and forth and dug up whatever they could on their own. What police had early on was a neighbor's surveillance camera that caught almost the entire sequence, from Porter's SUV backing into the ditch, to the sedan rolling up, to the 3 people getting out and talking to him, all the way to that single gunshot and the getaway. Houston Police Lieutenant Ronnie Wilkins described that video publicly not long after it revealed what changed the game for investigators. The problem was that a blurry tape of a car and 3 figures is not the same as a name, and for months that blank space is exactly where this case stalled. While the family waited, it's worth sitting with just who they were fighting for, because Snooty Wild's story is bigger than the ditch he died in. Before any music career took off, life had already tried to break him twice. First, when he got stabbed in the knee at 17 and spent 3 months in the hospital with a tube draining fluid just to save the leg.
Is it true that you used to want to play basketball, but you got stabbed in your leg?
Most definitely. You want to see them all?
Nah, I don't want to see this. You want to see this? I mean, yeah, show the scar. It's a bad scar like that. Because they say you almost lost your leg, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
He about 6'5", 6'6".
God damn, what you got stabbed with? What kind of knife?
Like I said, I'm gonna lost my leg. Yeah, so you know what I'm saying?
So you was only 17 though, so what happened? Like,
man, the streets, homie. You know what I'm saying? My life ain't full gaze. It is what it is. That's why it's probably so hard for the, you know what I'm saying, like the label. They trying to get me, they always say I'm trying to get you out of the streets into the industry world. I said, what do that mean? It sounds like you trying to say I want to take you from the house and take you to Disneyland. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's exactly what they trying to do.
Yeah, I can't get Disney like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, my life is real. You know what I'm saying? And the memories that I got and the scars that's on me is real. So it's like you can't you can't dress me up and take that away from me, man, and have me pretending I'm this person, because it can't happen that way.
And then again around 21 when he got locked up for aggravated robbery and did 4 years. Where a lot of men come home broken, he came home with a plan, and he said it plain in a 2015 interview that going to prison actually saved his life, because behind those walls he got his GED, educated himself, and figured out who he wanted to be.
Right. So you were in jail for 4 years, then you came out, you put out the single Yayo.
Right.
And I read that you got your GED while you were in jail, and that's how you sharpened up, like, on getting all your rhymes together.
Most definitely.
So you got out after 4 years, but then you ended up going back to jail after that?
Yeah. It was crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, out for 2 years almost, and got accused for another charge for the same thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like in Memphis. Yeah, it's like in Memphis, it's so small, right? So it's like if they got an open case, they usually just try to fit the criteria about a person. Okay, it's an aggravated charge. We're gonna go to all the cases that people that got aggravated charges. You know what I'm saying? And, they said I fit the description. You know what I'm saying? And, man, almost offered me 14.3 if it wasn't for the victims coming and letting me go and saying it wasn't him.
Damn.
Yeah, I would have been gone. So it was like a wake-up call for me. That really just made me just go on and push forward and, you know what I'm saying, just invest everything into this music. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have much, but I invested everything, my whole life into it, because like right then and there, I could have been gone. You know what I'm saying?
So you think jail, this may sound crazy, but you think jail benefited you?
Most definitely, you know what I'm saying? The 4 years changed me as a person, you know what I'm saying? Built me as a man, because I went in at 21, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't outspoken, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's people I thank God for, because it's people out here right today that express their feelings on text messages, you know what I'm saying? They can't stand in my face like a man or a woman and express themselves, you know what I'm saying? Because they're addicted to what the free word offer, you know what I'm saying? And that's not me.
That plan carried him to a wing shop in Memphis where he ran into Yo Gotti and played him some music, and not long after that, Yayo turned him from a local name into a rapper with a gold record and a real shot at the top, which is exactly why his people back home felt this loss so deep. Then, in October 2022, the break came, and it didn't come from the police, but from a grieving son. Porter's 20-year-old son, Latarian Burt, had been traveling to Houston weeks chasing down anybody who might know something, until a tip finally landed in his lap. It was a social media post where the eventual suspect allegedly admitted to the shooting with his own words, and Burt took that straight to Houston police himself. Even holding that tip, it still took police another 2 full months to move, and the family made it clear how much that silence wore on them. Porter's cousin, Patricia Cameron Buchanan, said they got so tired of not hearing back from the detective that they hired their own private investigator just to get answers. And Porter's mother, Toya Porter, putting the toll in the simplest terms, that the weight kept her blood pressure staying high all the time. Finally, on December 14th, 2022, close to 10 months and roughly 300 days after Porter died in that ditch, Houston Police SWAT arrested 22-year-old Ivory Duke Williams without any trouble and charged him with murder in the 185th State District Court in Harris County, with his bond set at $250,000. For a family that had been carrying this weight for the better part of a year, that arrest brought a little bit of peace, even if it didn't bring the whole thing to rest.
10 months later, an arrest has been made in the murder of Memphis rapper Snooty Wild in Houston, Texas. Police arrested this man, Ivory Williams. New tonight, Snooty's family is speaking out about the arrest.
The family of LaPreston Porter III says some peace has been restored since an arrest has been made, but they say the arrest didn't happen for months after they gave the Houston Police Department evidence. Nearly 300 days after the shooting death of Memphis rapper Snooty Wild, whose real name is LaPreston Porter III, a 22-year-old has been charged with murder. Ivory Duke Williams was arrested by the Houston Police Department in Texas on Wednesday.
Hearing that, that he did finally get caught, it kind of brought peace to me a little bit in a way. Trying to find answers, reaching out to different people. Then, like somebody finally came toward me with a tip. By the grace of God.
According to Burt, he says he gave Houston police a social media tip in October. He says the tip was the alleged shooter admitting to the crime, but it took months for Porter's family to get answers.
Even hired a detective because he was not communicating.
The months of waiting for an arrest left Snooty Wall's mother stressed.
My blood pressure stays up sky all the time. The detective told me that was not the person, that was the driver. And I told him to follow the evidence because the evidence says different. And me being a retired police officer from Houston, Texas, I know what you have to do and what you don't have to do.
But an arrest and a solid case are two different things, and the very next day, at his first court appearance, the judge said something out loud that would end up hanging over this entire case. Williams claimed that Porter had pointed a gun on his cousin, basically leaning on a defense that he was protecting his own people. In the same breath, that same judge pointed out that investigators had never found any gun on Porter or anywhere near him, not the night of the shooting and not in the 10 months since. That right there was the crack running through the whole case from the start. A woman saying Porter pointed a gun at her, a suspect saying Porter pointed a gun on his cousin, and not one single firearm ever pulled from that scene to back up either version. Porter's own family never bought the story that he showed up looking for trouble, and his sister said as much straight to the cameras, insisting he had come to that street to help, not to threaten anybody.
It's absolutely not the case. My brother was actually called. He was called to come and assist the young lady with her situation, and was unaware that family members of hers had been contacted or called to actually be at the location when he arrived. He was very loving, very supportive. I feel like there was nothing that I couldn't call on him for.
Court records also showed Williams was already known to the system, since he had pleaded guilty in 2021 to felony charges of assaulting a police officer and a family member and gotten probation instead of prison. And in the months around Porter's death, he also picked up a separate smuggling arrest near the Mexico border and failed a drug test, yet prosecutors still dropped their push to send him to prison on that older case, a call the district attorney's office later blamed entirely on the judge rather than the state. With everything sitting on the table, the surveillance tape, the woman's statement, the family's tip, and even the suspect's own alleged confession online, this looked like a case with everything it needed to head to trial. But that is not how it played out at all. Every search for a trial date, a plea deal, or a sentencing from 2023 all the way through 2026 turns up nothing past that original 2022 arrest, with no outlet in Houston or Memphis reporting another court date. Then, in early October of 2024, hip-hop community pages, including Spade TV and The Progress Report, started reporting that the murder charge against Ivory Duke Williams had been thrown out by a judge for lack of proper evidence, with authorities apparently still calling the whole thing an argument over a car wreck. No major news outlet ever nailed down the exact date or the judge's full reasoning, which happens a lot with cases that get dropped quietly before trial. But years of dead silence on the court record all point the same direction, and as of the middle of 2026, this case sits closed and unsolved, with nobody ever convicted for Snooty Wild's death. What makes it sting even more is that Snooty Wild was not the only Houston rapper whose case slammed into this exact same wall, because just 8 months later, on November 1st, 2022, Migos member Takeoff was shot and killed at a private party inside a Houston bowling alley during a robbery gone wrong in that same South Side stretch of the city. Police charged a man named Patrick Clark with the murder, and for a minute the case looked stronger, built on surveillance footage and DNA from the scene, until 2024 rolled around and a forensic analyst at the Houston Forensic Center got fired for allegedly mishandling DNA evidence across multiple cases, with Takeoff's case flagged as one that might have been touched by it. Hearings kept getting pushed, and as of the latest update in December of 2025, that case is still sitting unresolved years after an arrest that once looked solid.
A Houston Forensic Science Center employee has been fired, accused of mishandling DNA evidence. ABC 13's Alex Bojargian joins us live. And Alex, this could impact criminal cases in Harris County, including the murder of rapper Takeoff.
Forensic analyst Rochelle Austin was considered a witness in the case against Patrick Clark, a man who police believe is responsible for shooting and killing Grammy-nominated rapper Takeoff at a Houston bowling alley. Clark was indicted on the murder charge back in May of 2023. Nearly a year later, a Brady notice has been filed in his case. It states DNA samples Austin processed had been switched in one instance. In another, court documents say she skipped a step and processed the wrong sample. These are cases unrelated to Clark, but according to criminal defense attorney Murray Newman, the Brady notice is an indicator to the defense that there is something that may contradict their client's guilt.
That is the same trap these cases keep falling into, and it raises a question nobody has really answered: whether these investigations die because the evidence genuinely disappears, or because there is nobody with real money and power pushing to keep them alive once the news cameras pack up and leave. But not every Memphis rap murder ran cold like this one, because the next story is the complete opposite, a killing where prosecutors say they know exactly who ordered it, exactly why, and exactly how much money changed hands, and that trail leads straight to the top of one of the biggest labels the city ever built. Adolph Robert Thornton Jr. came into this world with nothing handed to him, born on July 27, 1985, and losing both parents to the streets before he was even old enough to understand what that meant, which left his grandmothers to raise him and his siblings, splitting the kids between two houses just to keep everybody fed. That kind of upbringing shaped everything about the man he became, and he never hid where he came from. By the time he was a teenager, he was already out there in those same streets teaching himself everything because there was nobody around to teach him, and he took the name Young Dolph after his own father. Instead of chasing somebody else's record deal, he built his own label from the ground up, called it Paper Route Empire, and made it his whole mission in life to never owe anybody anything. And it's that exact independence that put him on a crash course with the biggest name his city ever produced. That name was Yo Gotti, born Mario Centel Mims, the head of Collective Music Group. Back in August of 2014, Gotti tried to sign Dolph to CMG. Dolph turned him down flat, choosing to keep building his own thing, and he later said out loud that Gotti went from being one of his biggest supporters to his biggest hater almost overnight once he got told no. The people close to both his business tension turned into open disrespect real fast, because by 2016, Dolph dropped his debut album on the exact same day as one of Gotti's projects and named it King of Memphis, which everybody read as a direct shot at Gotti's own claim to that same crown. CMG artist Black Youngster cranked it up even further, posting videos threatening Dolph and even filming himself and his crew rolling through Dolph's own neighborhood looking for him. Dolph fired right back, accusing Gotti of sending Youngster to do his dirty work for him. Then, in February of 2017, Dolph got shot again, this time outside a hotel in Los Angeles where Gotti's own crew happened to be staying that same night. While Los Angeles police cleared Gotti of any involvement, a known associate of his named Corey McClendon got arrested on attempted murder charges, even though he was never formally charged. By the time 2018 came around, the feud looked like it had cooled off, with both men locked in on their music and their money through the pandemic years. But according to the prosecutors who later stood up in a Shelby County courtroom, that quiet stretch was never really peaceful. It was just a pause before the worst was still coming. And the man prosecutors say broke that pause was not Yo Gotti himself. It was his older brother, a man who spent years working almost entirely out of sight. Anthony Mims, known throughout the Memphis music scene as Big Juke, never was a rapper, never had a hit or a chart position to his name. What he had was real pull, working as a talent scout, project manager, and all-around operator for CMG's whole roster, the man prosecutors would later call the label's number 2 guy. According to opening statements later laid out by Shelby County Deputy District Attorney Paul Hagerman, Big Juke felt personally threatened by Dolph's independent success and all the disrespect in his music and decided to end it for good. He allegedly put out a $100,000 bounty on young Dolph's life, along with smaller bounties on other Paper Route Empire artists. He even dangled that money in front of an up-and-coming rapper named Justin Johnson, who went by Straight Drop as a shortcut to the very CMG deal he had been chasing.
It's crazy.
It's a song. It's a song. Well, seriously, that's like me killing someone who dissed me on social media because it was a really harsh diss. It's just a song. It doesn't affect anything, apart from some feelings being hurt. Well, but it's just a song.
But that's you, Vlad. You're a law-abiding citizen. We're talking about guys that are supposedly kingpins in their cities. You know, there's probably a lot of big ego going on with that.
Yeah, but when your brother is Yo Gotti and has a multi-million-dollar record empire with a bunch of successful artists, like Glorilla, who I heard charges $250,000 a show now. You see what I'm saying? And Yo Gotti has, I believe he has platinum records and stuff like that. So you're gonna start doing murders because your feelings got hurt, and this puts everything at risk.
That was fighting talk right there. That beef escalated ridiculously. But then on the other side, you know, you had another situation where there were kind of two gangs that were at war in Memphis. I think it was Double R, True La Mafia. And then there was another situation where Dolph had kind of signed somebody who was sort of on the wrong side of this gang war. That was more like the younger generation having street beef. And it was almost like, I think you see this in a lot of these cases where, you know, you've got OGs and older people that may be in the industry, and then there's sort of like a younger generation that's still active in the streets, sort of like a younger set. And it all just gets quite tricky and quite mixed in. And I think that there was a combination of things where Dolph had kind of signed this artist that was street related. There was rumors of maybe murders that had been involved between these two camps, and he was signing an artist that was kind of knee-deep in it.
Now, TMZ reports you're on the LAPD's radar in connection to the young Dolph shooting.
They dropped that.
They dropped that, but the LAPD denies those claims. But why do you think they believe that? Because y'all were staying at the same hotel that day.
Allegedly.
I'm always on the police radar for some reason. Where I'm from, you know what I'm saying? And I'm Yo Gotti, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just think the way I came up, where I come from, you know what I mean? Just the whole demeanor of who I am and what I represent, what I stand on, it put me in some of them places. You know what I mean? Like to be even a person of interest of anything, you know what I mean? Not just with Lil Homie, but anything I'm around, you know what I mean? If something happened up here, randomly outside, I'll probably be one of the people. Just off, you know what I mean? Who I am, but I ain't really been on that. You know what I'm saying?
But whatever issue you and Dolph have, don't you think it's gone too far at this point? Like, isn't it time to?
I don't got no issue.
Yeah.
I ain't got no issue. Like, it's probably the second or third time I've been up here and said the same thing.
That's true.
I ain't got no issue.
Johnson allegedly linked up with a man named Hernandez Quet Gavin, a CMG-connected talent scout who prosecutors say played the middleman, passing along Big Juke's offer. And Gavin paired Johnson with a second shooter named Cornelius Smith, a man deep in an opioid addiction at the time that prosecutors say Gavin himself was feeding with drugs. The payout, according to Smith's own testimony down the line, was supposed to be $40,000 for the two shooters, with Gavin taking a cut off the top from making the connection. Dolph had one habit every year that made him easy to find in the exact way you never want to be when there's money on your head. Every Thanksgiving, he threw a turkey giveaway for his community in Memphis and showed up without heavy security, since it was never about protecting himself, but about giving back to the same streets that raised him. Prosecutors say Smith and Johnson tracked that yearly tradition, knowing it would put Dolph out in the open with no protection on a schedule anybody could see coming. That's the part that sits the heaviest, because the exact thing that made Dolph beloved in his city, showing up in person for his people instead of hiding behind handlers, is the exact thing the men plotting against him were counting on. Nothing Dolph said in public in the years before his death sounds like a man who thought this beef would ever end with him in a casket. And if anything, he talked like somebody who figured he had already won just by staying independent and surviving 2 attempts on his life. A born daughter at home and an empire he had built from absolutely nothing. And yet in the story we are telling you, all of it was about to end on a random Wednesday morning at a cookie shop over the same thing it always seemed to come back to, a rejection that Gotti's camp never got over. On the morning of November 17, 2021, young Dolph pulled up to Makeda's homemade butter cookies in South Memphis, a shop he stopped at all the time just to grab something for his mother. He rolled up with no security and no reason in the world to think that day was any different from every other one. Surveillance cameras caught the whole thing as a stolen white Mercedes-Benz pulled up outside the bakery and 2 masked gunmen stepped out and opened fire straight through the store's front window. They hit young Dolph 22 times across his head, neck, torso, and limbs and killed him almost instantly right there on the floor of the cookie shop.
Strongly encourage everyone to stay home if you do not have to be out.
The Memphis police chief is asking everyone to stay home tonight after rapper Young Dolph is gunned down and killed at a South Memphis cookie shop.
There will be extra police presence in many parts of the city that might have a connection to the popular rapper to make sure there is no more violence.
That was my man. Like, why y'all go take him with me? An 11-year-old fan and aspiring rapper heartbroken over Young Dolph's death. Malik Woodoff says his son was going to be in a video with Dolph.
It's just a sad thing, man. You know, it's a hard pill to swallow.
Lots of fans flooded airways trying to get close to the crime scene. The crowd and cars at times too much for police. Police say young Dolph was inside Makeda's around 12:30 in the afternoon Wednesday when he was gunned down. Police Chief C.J. Davis says they are still talking to witnesses and checking cameras in the area that might have captured the crime, but couldn't say what the shooting was about.
This was a shooting that occurred at a cookie shop, and we're just not sure what that motivation was, and it's a little bit too early for us to tell.
I really thought he would never come back to Memphis. Memphis got a lot of haters.
Police provided an escort complete with sirens and lights for the tow truck driving away young Dolph's signature camo-covered Lamborghini.
The gunmen sped off in that same stolen Mercedes, switched their clothes at a nearby apartment complex, and later burned the whole car to ash, trying to wipe away anything that could tie them back to the shooting. It would take almost 3 years for the full story to come out in open court, and when it finally did, it came straight from the mouth of one of the 2 men who pulled the trigger. Cornelius Smith pleaded guilty to first-degree murder and conspiracy right before the trial kicked off in September of 2024. In exchange for cooperating, he testified against his fellow shooter Justin Johnson, telling the courtroom that he and Johnson were the 2 masked men on that surveillance tape and admitting flat out that it was him running from the shop with a rifle right next to Johnson. What made his testimony land so hard was not just the names he gave up, it was the money, or really the almost complete lack of it. Smith testified he was promised $40,000 for helping kill Dolph, and what he actually got was $500 stuffed inside a letter handed off through an old woman at his door because the people paying him were too paranoid to pass it to him directly. A couple weeks later, a second payment came through, driven up by strangers in face masks who handed his girlfriend $300 on a street corner. Which means when you add it all up, the man who helped kill one of Memphis's biggest independent artists walked away with a grand total of $800. Smith.
And then y'all are going to get on the expressway.
Yeah, we can get on the expressway on Airways.
Okay, but when this is Airways that we see.
Yeah, it's Airways.
Okay. What happens once y'all get to Airways?
We at the light. Y'all can come clean across the light.
How'd y'all know it was Dolph?
Everybody know, how he car is, the armed T cars and stuff.
Yeah. People in Memphis knew about that rap, right?
Yeah.
That camouflage white and green and blue rap.
Camouflage.
That surprised you? See him like that?
Yeah.
Did you say anything or did Justin say anything?
We was like, there go Dolph right now.
All right. What did y'all do?
We perceived the trailer. Proceeded the trailer.
So y'all are following him on Airways?
Yeah, right over the street.
And you saw the first part of this video, didn't you?
Yeah.
Did you see him pull off here to the cookie store?
Yeah, he pulled in the cookie store.
What'd y'all do?
We made the block. Came with the bagway. I jumped out. Started shooting.
All right, well, let's back up here though. We saw him pull off of Airways to here, is that right?
Yeah.
Y'all, can you see my little pointer?
Yeah.
Y'all would be traveling this direction on Airways, is that right? Then did y'all do a crazy U-turn or anything, or what'd y'all do?
Nah, we came with the back street.
Following the clickers is what y'all did?
Yeah.
Okay.
We went to the light, made the loop around.
Did you see him get out of his car like this?
Nah, I ain't seen him get out the car.
Okay. Jokes the money man calling the shots.
Yeah.
Quet puts you and Justin together.
Right.
And you and Justin are cool with each other.
Yeah.
And interact with each other over the months. You said at least 5 times.
Yeah, it was on.
You're trying to, now we're back after the murder, you're trying to get your money.
Right.
You're having conversations with Justin, is that correct?
Yeah, I was teasing his phone like, you know what I'm saying? I need their money for the party, you know what I'm saying?
Are there times that you're trying to communicate with Justin and in fact you're communicating with somebody else?
I ain't know it, you know what I'm saying? At the time I ain't know.
Okay. Did you come to find out that Jamarcus Johnson had Justin's phone after the murder?
Yeah, I found that out, I got locked up.
When you were communicating with Justin, okay, these times when Jamarcus had his phone and doing 3-way stuff or whatever, what was the substance of those conversations?
Oh, first time I was on the way back from Atlanta and he said he had got a little package from his homeboy so we could have some money in our pocket or whatever. And I would come back from Atlanta, so I like, I was like 2 hours out. So I was like, man, I don't want to just put it in the mailbox. But he said he had a letter with it too. And I know it'd be too many folks in my dad's neighborhood, so they'd be seeing what put in the mailbox and double back. So I told him to give it to the lady next door who like a grandma figure to me or whatever. And he gave her $500 in a letter.
$500 in a letter.
Yeah.
And obviously you're supposed to get $40,000.
Right.
But you got $500 in a letter.
You saying right here, yeah.
And what was the substance of the letter?
Saying that Juke said that if we get caught up, he gonna make sure we have the best lawyers and all that old stuff. We hot right now.
And this first payment is when you get back from Atlanta.
Yeah.
How did you got into Atlanta?
Me and my girl had went out there. After they found the cop, we had went on out there.
Okay. Get scarce.
Yeah. I got scared. I got on them.
Did y'all drive out there?
Yeah, we drove out there.
Stay in a hotel?
Yeah, stayed in a hotel.
About how long were you gone?
I was gone a couple days. I ain't had any more money on me.
Run out of money, you gotta come back.
Yeah, I gotta come back.
And you come back, do you pick up that money from the old woman?
Yeah, I picked up the money from her, and I saw how much it was. I'm like, hell no. You know what I'm saying? Like, $500.
You could spend that on pills in one day, I bet.
Yeah, it's over. Yeah, I could bet it.
What'd you do with the letter?
I flushed down the toilet at the hotel room.
All right. Is that the only time you got any money from Justin?
Nah, a couple days later, I was in the city or whatever, and he was saying that he was gonna have his folks to pull up on me, bring me some money or whatever, hold me down. So I'm thinking he been pulled up about 20, 30,000 leave, you know what I'm saying? But I had my girl to get out the car, and she met the person that was driving on the street or whatever. I had her to have her face mask on, and she said they had their face masks on, so we don't know who it was, but they gave her $300.
$300.
Yeah.
Okay. This is from Justin's folks.
Yeah, this from Justin's folks.
All right, so now we've been paid about $800.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Is there any other payment coming?
Nah, all the payments stopped then.
All the payments stopped.
Everything stopped.
Is there any time that you or your girlfriend or anybody received a large payment?
Nah.
Smith also testified that his legal fees, somewhere around $50,000, got quietly paid by somebody connected to CMG, even though he could not say exactly who set it up or swear he ever touched that money himself. That single detail turned into one of the biggest moments of the whole trial, because it hinted that the label's hands reached past just Big Juke, even though prosecutors never charged Yo Gotti or anybody else at CMG. On September 26, 2024, a jury found Justin Johnson guilty of first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, and being a felon carrying a gun, and he was automatically hit with life without parole. Another judge came back about 5 weeks later and stacked another 35 years for the conspiracy and 15 more for the weapon, all of it running back-to-back with that life sentence.
Man sentenced to life in prison for killing young Dolph gets 35 more years tacked onto his sentence, meaning Justin Johnson could be in his 70s before he's even considered for parole. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Greg Hurst.
Hello, I'm Stephanie Skurlock. The additional sentences were handed down in court this morning. WREG's April Thompson was there as the judge described Johnson's crime as one full of envy and greed.
Justin Johnson was already convicted and sentenced to life for the killing of Memphis rapper Young Dolph. Friday, he was back in court for sentencing on 2 additional charges: conspiracy to commit the murder and being a convicted felon in possession of a handgun. Prosecutors stress Johnson already has several aggravated assault convictions, extreme criminal behavior, and is a danger.
The risk of life to individuals other than the victim in the case, the state would ask you to set maximum sentences.
But Johnson's attorney said additional years to a life sentence would be excessive. He maintained Johnson was never a leader in this crime.
The individuals that were on the ground in front of that cookie store that day were not leaders in an offense. They were manipulated by others.
Judge Jennifer Mitchell went back over testimony about the killing of young Dolph 3 years ago outside Makita's Cookies on Airways, saying Johnson showed a lack of regard for life.
These were crimes that were committed in our community in the middle of the day, in broad daylight, other people around, for greed.
She sentenced Johnson to 35 years for conspiracy and 15 for being a felon with a handgun, to be run concurrent to each other. They will be served consecutive with the life sentence he already had.
I think today's result, sends a very useful message that this kind of violence won't be tolerated, and we will do what we need to do to make sure that people who are dangerous stay locked up so they can't get out onto the streets again.
But Johnson's attorney maintains his client is innocent. He has already filed a motion to get a new trial.
Gotti's brother, Big Juke, recently got killed right after a funeral in Memphis. I guess his mom was around him too when it happened.
Yes.
That clip you just heard is actually about a completely different killing, and that is exactly the twist this whole case takes. Because while all of this was playing out in court, the man prosecutors say masterminded the entire hit was already dead himself, killed 2 years before he ever had to sit in front of a jury and answer for any of it. On January 13, 2024, Big Juke was at a repass following a funeral at Perion's Restaurant and Events Center in the Hickory Hill area of Memphis when gunfire went off in the parking lot. A police officer working nearby heard the shots and got there fast, finding 2 men down with multiple gunshot wounds. Big Juke was rushed to the hospital and pronounced dead, while the second man pulled through. And witnesses and surveillance footage pointed to a white Ford Explorer with dark-tinted windows and black wheels tearing away from the scene.
Sources close to the family of rapper Yo Gotti confirmed the man killed outside a Hickory Hill event center is Gotti's brother. Memphis police identified him as 47-year-old Anthony Mims, also known as Big Juke. Mims was shot in the parking lot of Pernod's Restaurant and Event Center. Another man who was shot is still alive but in the hospital. Tonight, police are looking for a white Ford Explorer SUV in connection with the shooting. It has dark tinted windows and black wheels. A witness told police they saw suspects in the SUV speeding away, and surveillance video also shows this.
The day before he was killed, Big Juke posted something on his own Instagram that reads almost like a warning he never took himself, writing that the people who don't want to face you will try to snake you instead, and telling his followers to stay alert and watch their backs at all times. His funeral the following month at New Direction Christian Church looked less like a service and more like a fortress on lockdown, with snipers up on the rooftops, helicopters circling overhead, and police posted heavy all around the building. No arrests have ever been made in Big Juke's murder, and as recently as August of 2025, a Memphis police spokesperson confirmed there were still no named suspects and no updates to give, calling it an open investigation that, in plain terms, had gone cold. The timing hasn't been lost on anybody watching Memphis rap culture, because Big Juke got killed roughly 2 years before prosecutors say he ordered the hit on young Dolph. The theory that his own death was payback has trailed the case ever since, even with police never officially confirming a motive. Even retired Memphis Police Sergeant Terrence Dabney, the lead investigator on Dolph's original murder case, testified in later proceedings that Big Juke would very likely have become a suspect in Dolph's killing had he lived long enough to face that kind of heat himself. As for the rest of the men caught up in Dolph's death, the outcomes have been all over the place. Jamarcus Johnson, who's Justin's half-brother, pled guilty back in 2023 to helping the shooters after the fact and ended up with a 6-year diversion program. This is a kind of supervised probation instead of prison time.
Another suspect was sentenced today for his involvement in rapper Young Dolph's murder. Jamarcus Johnson was sentenced to 6 years of diversion and must complete 20 hours of community service a year. If he stays out of trouble, well, his record could then be expunged. Jamarcus pleaded guilty to 3 counts of accessory after the fact of murder. He testified against one of the shooters, his brother, Justin Johnson, who's now serving life in prison, plus a total of 50 more years.
Is Hernandez Goban. And I want you to remember the choices he made. And even more importantly, I want you to remember the consequences of those choices. Picture this. November 17th, 2021. The victim, Adolph Thornton, and his brother. They pull up to Makita's cookie shop on Airways Boulevard. They park the car, they get out, they talk to the cashier, and seconds later, a white Mercedes pulls up and Adolph Thornton is gunned down and killed. CMG, also known as Cocaine Music Group. He'll tell us about the history and the tension between these two labels. He'll tell us that CMG wanted Thornton as their own, but when he decided to pave his own way, When he decided to be self-made, he became CMG's enemy. He chose two desperate people. Smith, needing money, needing to support his family. Justin Johnson, an aspiring and up-and-coming rap artist that wanted to be on CMG's label, the very label that Govan had access to and was affiliated with. And Govan asked for a $10,000 cut from each of them. He chose to ask for this cut from each of them. And one thing that is important to note is that Smith and Johnson didn't even really know each other, but they knew Govan. Govan was the link between them.
The black suit, as far as that goes. Last week, I talked to you guys a lot about first impressions, and the reason I mentioned that is sometimes the first impression can be wrong. I listened to a very beautiful, eloquent speech from the prosecutor in this case, and it sounds really, really good. But that's the false first impression, because you promised that as a peer of Mr. Govan, you would listen to everything. So let me share to you the rest of the story. This entire case is going to come down to the guy with the machine gun that shot off Adolf Thornton. The whole case is going to come down to him, and then possibly his girlfriend backing up his story. Remember, Cornelius Smith has made at least 5 different statements to law enforcement over the course of a year where everything changes. He's then met with the prosecution at least 5 or 6 times to go over his testimony prior to testifying here today. So let's see who the government has gotten in bed with to try to prove their case against Hernandez Govan. Robert?
Hernandez Govan, the alleged middleman, prosecutors say connected Big Juke to the shooters, went to trial and got acquitted in August of 2025, walking free despite everything Cornelius Smith swore on that stand.
State of Tennessee versus Hernandez Govan, count 1. We, the jury, find the defendant Hernandez Govan not guilty in count 1 of the indictment. State of Tennessee versus Hernandez Govan, count 2. We, the jury, find the defendant Hernandez Govan not guilty in count 2 of the indictment. Ma'am?
Court's in session.
Ma'am? Ms. Johnson, is this your verdict? Is this your verdict? Yes. Is this your verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
Is this your verdict?
Yes.
Is this your verdict?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is this your verdict? Yes. Is this your verdict?
Yes.
Is this your verdict?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is this your verdict?
Yes.
Is this your verdict?
Yes.
Is this your verdict? Is this your verdict? Yes, ma'am. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I want to thank you for your service this week. You've done exactly what the court asked you to do, which was to sit, listen to all the proof, and come to a decision. You are excused.
The jury is excused. Thank you.
Excuse me?
Go ahead, John. Court still in session.
Mr. Hernandez Govan, a jury of your peers having found you not guilty of all charges, sir, you are free to go.
Thank you so much, Judge.
You're welcome. You may come off the record.
Court's in recess.
I need judgment.
Yes, ma'am. Judgment sheets.
I need judgment sheets as to each count. Get the clerk to help me do it. Yeah, but Mr. Your local counsel can help you.
Durham.
Mr. Durham, I'm
Durham.
sorry, Mr. Durham.
Smith himself still faces sentencing on his own guilty plea, with reports suggesting he later took a deal on a lesser charge and got 20 years.
Plea is Mr. Smith's cooperation in this matter. From the time of his arrest until now, Mr. Smith has cooperated fully in the prosecution, first of Justin Johnson, and then in another co-defendant. Taken in consideration is his truthful testimony in those cases. Had the matter gone to trial, the state's proof would have been that on the date alleged in the indictment in Memphis and Shelby County, Tennessee, at a local business, Makeda's Cookies, Adolph Thornton Jr., the victim in the case, was there with his brother. Two individuals, Mr. Justin Johnson, Mr. Cornelius Smith, who had been propositioned previously and offered money to kill Mr. Thornton, who's known as the rapper Dolph, drove up in a stolen vehicle. They both got out of the car and they both fired guns, killing Mr. Thornton there on the scene. There's video of the incident. There's also video of Mr. Johnson and Mr. Smith after the incident going to an apartment complex where Mr. Smith had to care for a wound that he received during the shooting. There'd be testimony from several witnesses identifying Mr. Smith as one of the shooters and also describing his actions before and after the shooting. Those events occurred in Memphis and Shelby County, Tennessee. As I said, from his arrest forward, Mr. Smith has taken responsibility for this, admitted his involvement, provided truthful testimony to the state and the prosecution of the co-defendants. We'd ask Your Honor to accept the plea and counsel stipulate. Your Honor, please, we stipulate that those were the facts put forth by the state of the matter gone to trial.
He had such a benevolent spirit, a giving heart, a heart of gold. I said it once and I'll say it again. He had a heart of David, one after God's own heart. And I'll say that to the day I die, because I mean that from the bottom of my heart. So unique, just such a unique spirit. And I knew that from the first time. I'm not gonna say the first time I met him, but it was the first time that I really got to know him. And I had conversations with him, and I would see, we would go on dates, and we would go to Houston's or just anywhere, and if we were walking and somebody came up like, hey, can I get your leftovers? He would literally go back inside the restaurant and order something altogether new just to give that person, and being a good-spirited man. And so I'm honored to have experienced him. I'm honored to have been fruitful and multiply with him, because I have two blessings. They both embody his spirit. And I'm just, like I said, it's definitely painful to not have him in our lives. But one thing I know for sure and for certain is that he is in our hearts. He's guiding us. He's our angel. He's our guiding star. He's done so many things to just endow wisdom and knowledge and impart so many valuable lessons on me and my family that I know we'll all cherish. Me and Ari and Trey, we'll all cherish what he has done in the 7 years and the 4 years of their lives. I'm just very thankful. I'm just thankful. And I'm just like, I'm thankful to God, because it's like, I absolutely never wanted to see this happen. I never wanted to experience this, not one time, but twice. I just pray to God that he heals my heart, he heals my children's heart, and that we can just be able to live strong in the spirit of Dolph. Long live Dolph. We love you.
When you step all the way back, here's what you're left holding. Two Memphis rappers, two cities, two completely different situations, yet the same ending waits at the bottom of both stories. A family left with no answers, and a justice system that either moved too slow, buckled under its own weight, or just never finished the job. That's the price this culture keeps paying over and over, and until something real changes, it doesn't look like anybody is anywhere close to figuring out how to make it stop. What do you think about these two cases? Let me know in the comments section. Click on one of the cards on your screen to see more videos like this. See you in the next one.